The kitchen was quiet except for the soft ticking of the wall clock and the distant hum of the refrigerator. Sunlight streamed through the wide glass windows, reflecting off the marble countertops and polished cabinets of the luxurious home. Mr. Adrian Clark, a self-made millionaire known for his sharp business mind and disciplined lifestyle, stood near the island counter, watching Maria carefully wipe down the surface for the second time that morning. She had worked in his house for nearly 3 years, always punctual, always respectful, and almost invisible in the way she carried out her duties. Yet today there was something different about her. Her hands trembled slightly and her eyes seemed heavy, as though she hadn't slept. Adrian wasn't a man who easily noticed such things, but he prided himself on reading people in boardrooms and negotiations. That same instinct now told him Maria was troubled. "Is everything all right?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Maria paused, forcing a small smile. "Yes, sir. Everything is fine." But her voice cracked at the edges, betraying her words. Adrian studied her for a long moment. He had always believed loyalty should be rewarded, and Maria had never given him a reason to doubt her honesty. After a brief silence, he reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his sleek black credit card. Maria's eyes widened in confusion as he held it out toward her. "I need you to take care of a few household purchases today," he said. "Groceries, supplies, whatever the house needs. Don't worry about the limit." His tone was casual, but for Maria, it felt like the weight of the world had just been placed in her trembling hand. She hesitated before accepting it, as though afraid it might disappear. Adrian noticed the hesitation. "I trust you," he added simply. Those 3 words hung in the air longer than either of them expected. Trust was not something he gave easily. Maria nodded quickly, clutching the card carefully, almost reverently. To her, it wasn't just a piece of plastic, it was power, responsibility, and perhaps an unexpected lifeline. As she left the kitchen to prepare for the market, Adrian returned to his laptop, unaware that this simple gesture of trust would soon test his heart in ways no business deal ever had. Maria had never held something so powerful in her hands before. The black credit card felt heavier than it looked as she stood outside a large department store, staring at her reflection in the glass doors. For a moment, she considered turning back. What if she made the wrong decision? What if he thought she took advantage of him? But then she remembered the hospital bill folded inside her. Small purse and her mother's weak voice over the phone the night before. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. She walked past aisles of luxury handbags, sparkling jewelry, and designer dresses. Salespeople glanced at her uniform and quickly lost interest, assuming she couldn't afford anything. If only they knew what rested in her purse. Maria tightened her grip on it, resisting the temptation to prove something to them or to herself. Instead, she moved toward the pharmacy section first. She carefully purchased prescribed medicines, vitamins, and medical supplies her mother desperately needed. The total climbed quickly, and her heart pounded as the cashier swiped the card. Approved. Next, she visited a small electronics shop inside the mall. There, she stared at a modest tablet and a pair of reading glasses. Her mother's eyesight had worsened, and she had often spoken about wanting to video call Maria without struggling to see the screen. Maria added the tablet to her basket. Again, the card was approved. Hours later, Maria returned to the mansion with several neatly packed bags. Adrian was seated in his study when his phone buzzed, repeatedly with transaction notifications. At first, he ignored them. But as the amounts grew larger, hundreds, then thousands, his jaw tightened. He opened the banking app, his expression hardening with every new charge, electronics, pharmacy, superstore. His mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Had he been foolish? Too trusting? When Maria entered the house, Adrian was already standing in the hallway, phone in hand. His voice was calm, but there was a sharp edge beneath it. "That was quick," he said. His eyes moved to the bags. "Care to explain these purchases?" Maria froze, clutching the handles. Fear flickered across her face. Not guilt, but something deeper. She swallowed hard, knowing this was the moment everything could change. Maria stood frozen in the hallway, the shopping bags trembling in her hands as Adrian's question lingered in the air. His expression was unreadable, calm on the surface, but his tightened jaw betrayed disappointment. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, quietly, Maria set the bags down on the polished floor and reached inside one of them. "I'm sorry if I have done wrong, sir," she began, her voice unsteady but sincere. "But I did not buy anything for myself." She pulled out a white paper envelope and handed it to him with both hands. Adrian hesitated before taking it. Inside were hospital invoices, medical prescriptions, and a printed report stamped with urgent recommendations. He skimmed the pages. His business-trained eyes quickly understanding the seriousness. Heart medication, specialized treatment, overdue payments. "My mother has been ill for months," Maria explained softly. "She worked as a seamstress her whole life. She never asked anyone for help. But last week, the doctor said if we don't continue treatment immediately—" Her voice broke and she forced herself to continue. "She may not survive." Adrian felt something shift inside him. Maria reached into another bag and carefully removed a small tablet box. "She cannot see well anymore. She cries because she cannot see my face clearly when I visit. I thought, if I buy this, I can call her every night. I can read to her. I can make her feel less alone." Her eyes filled with tears. But she kept standing straight, refusing to beg. Adrian looked at the items again. Medicine, medical equipment, basic groceries, the simple tablet. Nothing extravagant. Nothing selfish. The large total that had angered him moments ago suddenly felt insignificant compared to the quiet desperation behind it. "You said you trusted me," Maria whispered. "So I tried to make the most responsible choice I could." The words struck him harder than any financial loss ever could. He had spent millions on luxury cars he barely drove and watches he rarely wore. Yet this woman had used his card not for comfort, but for love. Adrian slowly lowered his phone. His voice, when he finally spoke, was softer than she had ever heard. "You should have told me." Maria shook her head gently. "It is not my place to bring my problems into your home." But in that moment, Adrian realized something painful. His house had always been full of wealth, yet empty of heart. And standing there in the hallway, surrounded by simple shopping bags filled with sacrifice and devotion, he felt his heart break, not from betrayal, but from the overwhelming weight of her quiet love and dignity.